Okay, well, this is part 2. So I've turned her on and I'm projecting about, I'd say, about 33 inches diagonal onto the wall here in front of me. This is a Blu-ray rip of the score. Shoot on camera in the dark is always a problem because you don't know whether the image that you're looking at or it's whether the camera iris is causing you problems. But one thing I do notice, via the HDMI input, the blacks do not tend to be quite as good. Now you can see on the kind of surrounding parts of the screen, the image flicker is probably caused by the camera itself, as opposed to the image is rock solid on the wall here. So the flickering really is the camera effect. Now one thing about the actual Optoma, again, it's going to be difficult for you to see this in the video, is that, the Acer C20. I've had 2 different units. The first unit I brought back, and the second unit I got, this is it. So I didn't bother bringing it back because it doesn't uniformly focus. So if you see the left hand side of the screen in comparison to the right hand side is not in focus. Now on films and videos that's not really a problem, but on the likes of, if you're viewing web pages of that using the projector, it can be awkward because you can't read the text uniformly across the actual screen. Yeah, and that flickering is definitely not on the wall in front of me. It's whatever way the camera is picking up. Now you can see it's playing there in a that's a 2.35 to 1 ratio film. So you can see the actual bars above and below, which are not too bad. You can also hear the speaker below me. I have the unit just below me, and you can hear the speaker. It's half a watt. It's okay if you're in bed or that, but if there's much ambient noise, you're not going to hear a thing. So, but the nice thing is the HDMI input does allow for both to actually, simultaneous audio and video through the one cable, which is useful. I'm just going to try and change the aspect ratio here. I'm actually using a Canon V5 to send a 720p signal to the player. I did try with the RCOS and it didn't work. See, if you see there on the top right, you can see the text is slightly out of focus, despite the fact the projector is very well focused on the left. So that's kind of what I was talking about. But if you can change kind of, let's say, the full screen, so that gives you an idea of what, let's say, a native 1.85 to 1 ratio movie would look like. And it's quite nice. Like, I'll just walk back a bit so you can see the room a little bit better. You get an idea of, you can see, okay, balcony windows and that to the left, and table is just here. Okay, and the projector is, okay, it's way too dark. Anyway, about 32 inches. Now, should you buy one? It's a tough one. I don't use it really at all. And to say the chances are it's going to end up on eBay. It's a nice toy to have, but I don't think the technology is there just yet. It's not refined enough. The battery life really has to go up on these units. Like about between 45 minutes to an hour, and then you're done. What I'll do is, while I have this actually hooked up, I'm going to just show you the interface on the unit itself, which I think will give you a bit of an idea. So this here is the menu. So you can, it's kind of awkward in the dark, but here we go. You can actually change the lamp output mode. There's it at high, and you can change it to, okay. Yeah, it's a great interface. Let's have a look. Okay, now just hit input. Actually, this might give me a chance to show you something. Okay, this here is the main UI, so you can kind of see we're on the left hand side we've got RAM. The second option is micro SD. So if we go into micro SD, I have a 16 gig micro SD card in there. So we go into video. I don't know what I have really video wise on it, but okay. Yeah, there's a couple of episodes of Threshold. So let's say we just try and play an episode of Threshold. These are the standard kind of, 300 odd meg DivXs, and they're trying to play out. This is on the inbuilt player. Now you'll probably notice how choppy it is. It's really, really quite poor. It kind of reminds me, if you can think of one of those old rock chip MP4 players from about 4 or 5 years ago and their internal decoders. This is, I'd say that's probably what's inside it. It's pretty rubbish, to be honest. Far too much frame dropping. I'd say it's probably playing between 12 and 15 frames a second, which really, you know, it's really not enough. So that's it. One thing I will notice is the camera does make the image look brighter than it actually is. Looking through the viewfinder here, I'd reckon it's probably overestimating the brightness by a region of about 30%. And that's so, you know, this is not an iris burner. We'll just go back into the menu. So we go. Okay. Now, you'll see where there's a USB is the third actual icon. That's where you can attach USB host. There's USB host cable included, and you can plug flash drives or whatever into it. And that's pretty cool. But again, you've got the same limitation presented to you by what you have from the by what you like, as in the internal decoder. You can play music and stuff, but to be perfectly honest, like, why bother? It's just a waste of time, really. The only thing I could really see you using one of these units for is, again, for, you know, looking at a bit of video and that. Anything else, I don't think they're fit for. You certainly wouldn't use one as, let's say, a second display or anything like that. They're not clear enough, despite the fact they certainly have come on a huge amount from earlier incarnations. The seek function, which is this one here, so you can see it's searching there on, like, say, components, then it goes into, well, sorry, component there now, VGA, which is the multi-IO, and HDMI, so it'll pick back up the, and you can see 720p at 60 Hz on the top right. But again, it really is quite, I'll just show you, because I spent a while focusing. These things are awkward to focus. The focus ring is, it's too recessed into the plastic, so you'll find yourself fiddling around. It's very hard to get a nice tight focus. If I'm zooming in the top right corner, because I want you to see that, you can see that's as clear as it gets. Now I can probably pull that into focus by using the ring, but if I do, the rest of the image is going to go out of focus. So the left hand side is quite poor. You might be asking yourself the question, should I buy one? They are reasonable. It depends. If you're like me, I like being kind of getting new technology and trying it out. I wouldn't really recommend it. I'd give it a kind of B-. You'd play with it for a while and then probably never use it. So that said, keep an eye on eBay. But anyway, I hope you got a little bit from it. I did read on a couple of forums and that the Optoma versions were having pretty much the same problem as these were when it came to the focusing. Now that's most likely down to the fact that you've got such a small there's such a small actual lens on these, so obviously uniformity is going to be a problem. But that said, you know, there's certainly worse things you can drop a couple of €100 on. But there you go. I've just zoomed in slightly so you can see a bit. It's not bad, but anyway. So that was the kind of, let's say, review of the actual playback capabilities and that on it. I hope you enjoyed having a look at it, and sure, make your mind up, see if you want one. Bye now.